night owls, and thank you for allowing me into your living rooms once again.
Welcome into a solo edition of Box Office Quarterbacks. My name is Jeff. Today I'm talking about a very interesting horror movie, indie horror movie that has kind of taken the internet by surprise and by storm. It is called Late Night with the Devil. It was released in theaters about 3 weeks ago. As we're recording this, it's streaming on Shudder now. It's starring David Dashmalchian, who you know as Polka Dot Man from Suicide Squad. He was also in The Dark Knight, had some supporting roles in Oppenheimer and movies that you've definitely seen before. Also starring Laura Gordon. This movie has one of the best plots and premises I've seen in a very long time. It's so creative when it comes to the horror genre. And for someone in a broadcasting background, I really appreciated the setting as well. David Dashmalchian plays Jack, a struggling late night host who is essentially throwing up a Hail Mary to save his show at the beginning of Sweeps Week, which is the ratings period that TV stations recognize. And he pulls out all the stunts, invites the author of a exorcism book to his studio and the possessed girl for a live interview on Halloween night. And there's a whole cast of characters that are here as well. You have a psychic guy who you kind of know was full of shit, a guy you would probably see at like a state fair or something like that. And you have a skeptic, a guy who doesn't believe in the supernatural, and of course Jack, who is this guy who is down on his luck. He can't catch up to Johnny Carson. He joins some weird cult, which you get a little bit of a backstory in this kind of mini documentary in the beginning. And he essentially has sold his soul, make his show number one across the ratings board, and it happens on Halloween night, but not the way that he was expecting. This is it's a slow burn, this movie, but when it gets going, man, it does not let up. Like, things happen fast when like the supernatural elements of this really kick into gear. And David Dashmalchian as Jack, I thought, is such a charismatic lead. Like, I haven't seen him as a lead in a movie in a while, like maybe actually ever. He was in the new Boogeyman movie that came out last year, but he didn't get to lead that movie, and I really do love him as number one on the billing list here because he is charismatic as Jack. He is very haunted in his performance just because this character, and we're in spoiler territory, lost his wife, and we find out why he lost his wife at the end of this movie. And he'll do anything to keep his career alive, and that comes at the cost of audience members, of his co-hosts, of the people that were in this studio on Halloween night. I love how it's filmed. It's filmed like 70s style. Like, it looks like Halloween and, you know, all the movies from the 70s that were around back then. The audience members look like they're straight out of Halloween 3 Season of the Witch. Like, you have this guy in a skeleton mask who you think is going to turn into somebody, but he's just, there to kind of unnerve you the entire time. And then you really get into the possession stuff after the little girl and her guardian come into the audience. And, it's filmed like you're watching it at home. And that's what I really appreciated, where you see this girl get possessed on live TV, and Jack really plays it up for the audience, cuts to commercial break at the most dramatic point in time. And like, you could feel like the commercial breaks, like, as a regular break in like TV or something, where it's like, hey, we got 2 minutes of behind the scenes stuff before we're back on air, and we got to figure something out, like what is going on with this girl. And then things start happening, like you have this demon essentially taking over this audience live on TV. And doing a little bit of research, this isn't the first time that something like this has aired. There was a show called Ghost Watch back in the 90s that aired on the BBC, which had a fake haunting that tricked people to thinking it was real, that aired on Halloween night. And that was maybe something I could see that was an inspiration for this movie. But yeah, this is one of the most creative and really cool throwback horror movies we've gotten in a long time. Like having a possession live on air. Like if you think about it now, like if you were to see that, would you believe it? Especially in this day and age, like there's so much like AI manipulation and clever editing tricks that you can do now, but like setting it in the 70s and in a simpler time, I thought was a great setting because hey, uh, this is all real, and it shocked an audience. I loved how they tied in the cult aspect in here, where Jack essentially has sold his soul to the devil. He gets to beat Carson for one night and one night only, and that is Halloween night, where he and his audience become one of the most cautionary tales on live TV. It is something that uh, is still kind of stayed with me like a week after watching it. Like it is probably the most creative horror movie I've seen, definitely this year. Probably my favorite horror movie since Evil Dead Rise, which came out last year. This is definitely a movie I think you could throw on right before Halloween. I know it released in April, but now you have it on Shudder. Like, I think it's going to be one of those in the rotation just for how uh, creative and kind of unnerving it gets at times, especially at the end. Like, when that little girl gets possessed and that studio like turns to shit, it is one of the craziest things I've seen in a horror movie in a long time. But if I were to rank this movie on the box office QB scale, I think I would give it an all star. It is very memorable. It is, especially as like a one-off horror movie, because you're obviously not getting a sequel here, like unless you did like a prequel that pertained to like the cult aspect of this movie. But like, give us more horror movies like this. Like, we do get movies like Halloween Kills or something like that, where we're taking and reheating old franchises and bringing them back. This, with the supernatural elements and the setting, I think really make it stand apart from the horror movies that we have gotten recently. And the fact that it's an indie horror movie, I think, is really cool because we're seeing all these people support this movie and support the brothers who directed it. Like, I want more of it. Like, I want to see more of David Dashmalchian as a lead actor, and I want to know what you guys thought of Late Night with the Devil. What do you rank it on the box office QB scale? But yeah, curious to hear your thoughts. But this has been a solo edition of Box Office Quarterbacks. My name is Jeff. We'll be back very soon. Me and Gerald are going to be talking about Shogun and the series finale that just aired. And we have some other stuff on the docket. But we will see you very soon. Have a good rest of the week.